Have you ever walked into a room and instantly noticed that woman, the one everyone seems drawn to? She may not be the most conventionally beautiful person there, but something about her is magnetic. I used to watch these women from across the room, wondering what they had that I didn't. Was it their outfit, their makeup, their body type? I spent years chasing the wrong answers, pouring money into clothes, beauty products, and endless self-improvement, only to still feel invisible when it mattered most. Then I discovered the truth. Only 7% of attractiveness is about physical appearance. The other 93%? That's what we're uncovering today. Did you know we form impressions in just 7 seconds? And that people who master what I'm about to teach you are 63% more likely to get promoted, 31% more likely to be chosen as romantic partners, and report 40% higher life satisfaction? Stick around until the end, because I'm going to reveal one simple shift that changed everything for me, and it just might change your life too. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about revealing the most magnetic version of who you already are. And I promise you, once you tap into that power, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. What's attractiveness really? We've been sold a tiny definition of attractiveness, one that's all about looks. But real magnetism, it's so much bigger than that. A study from the University of British Columbia found that genuine expressions of happiness can boost perceived attractiveness by 50%, more than any makeup technique ever could. Because while physical beauty catches the eye, energy holds attention. It's about the feeling you create in others. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who was technically beautiful but lacked any real presence? Compare that to someone whose warmth, humor, or confidence made them unforgettable. And the best part? This kind of attractiveness isn't dependent on genetics, age, or status. It's something you can cultivate. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I attended a wedding. I had the perfect dress, flawless makeup, everything. But as the night went on, I felt invisible. Meanwhile, my friend Sarah, who wouldn't fit most beauty standards, was the center of attention. People gravitated toward her. She was glowing. Later, I asked her what her secret was. She said, "I stopped trying to be the most beautiful woman in the room. Instead, I focused on being the most present one." That changed everything for me. And guess what? Presence is one of the strongest predictors of perceived attractiveness across cultures. So how do you cultivate presence? That's exactly what we're diving into next. Secret number 1, the confidence. Confidence isn't about faking it till you make it. It's about owning who you are and feeling secure in it. Confidence ranks higher than physical beauty in long-term attraction. Studies showed that body language, things like posture and eye contact, was rated as more attractive than facial features. But here's what no one tells you. Confidence isn't about feeling amazing all the time. It's about being comfortable even when you don't. Here's a framework you can start using right now. Self-knowledge. Get clear on your values and non-negotiables. When you know who you are, you stop seeking external validation. Skill building. Confidence comes from competence. Master something that excites you, whether it's storytelling, leadership, or a creative skill. Failure reframing. Keep a failure resume. Instead of seeing mistakes as setbacks, view them as stepping stones. Power body language. Stand tall, take up space, and practice power poses. Doing this for 2 minutes increases confidence hormones by 20%. And here's a pro tip. If you ever feel nervous before a social event, try visualization. Close your eyes and picture yourself walking into the room with ease, smiling, and connecting effortlessly. Studies show that mental rehearsal can physiologically prime you for success. Secret number 2, presence and mindfulness. In a world glued to screens, being fully present is a superpower. Neuroscientists found that when someone feels truly heard, their brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That's why presence is magnetic. I used to half listen, always planning what I'd say next. The result? Shallow, forgettable interactions. So I changed my approach. Sense check-in. Before entering a room, take 30 seconds to notice one thing with each of your senses. This anchors you in the moment. Breath reset. If you catch yourself zoning out, take 3 deep breaths to refocus. Label the thought. If you get distracted, name the thought, like planning, judging, and gently return to the conversation. Ask more, talk less. People who ask follow-up questions are rated as 31% more likable. Here's something to try. At your next social event, challenge yourself to really listen. No interruptions, no thinking about what you'll say next, just full attention. You'll be amazed at how much deeper your conversations become. I applied this at a networking event. Instead of scanning the room for better conversations, I gave each interaction my full attention. The result? I made 2 meaningful friendships instead of 20 forgettable small talks. Secret number 3, authentic curiosity. Now, I want to pause and ask you something that I'd love for you to answer in the comments. What's one quality you have that makes you feel most authentically yourself, but that you sometimes hide in social situations? Share below. I read every comment and would love to hear your thoughts. This question leads perfectly into our next principle, authentic curiosity. Research shows that people who ask questions, particularly follow-up questions, are rated as more likable and attractive in social settings. But there's a crucial distinction between genuine curiosity and interrogation or networking with an agenda. When you're genuinely curious about others, you create a judgment-free space where people feel valued and understood. This quality is increasingly rare in our self-focused world, making it even more magnetic when you practice it. Here's how to develop authentic curiosity. The 2:1 listening ratio. Aim to listen twice as much as you speak. This creates space for deeper connection. Question layering. Start with open-ended questions, then follow up based on what interests you about their response. Validation before sharing. When someone shares something, validate their experience before adding your own perspective. That sounds challenging, or I can see why you'd feel that way, creates psychological safety. Interest mining. Develop genuine interest in various topics so you can connect with diverse people. Studies show that people with broad knowledge bases are rated as more attractive conversation partners. I remember meeting a woman at a conference who made me feel like the most fascinating person in the world, simply because of how she listened and inquired. Later, I watched her do the same with others. She wasn't the loudest or most striking person there, but by the end of the event, everyone knew who she was and wanted to connect with her. When you master authentic curiosity, you create a magnetic field around you that draws people in because of how valued they feel in your presence. Secret number 4, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your emotions while being attuned to others' feelings. According to research from Yale, emotional intelligence is more predictive of success and positive relationships than IQ. I used to pride myself on being rational and not too emotional, but I've learned that this approach actually limited my connections. True emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding them as valuable information. Here's how to develop your emotional intelligence. Emotion naming. Practice identifying your emotions with specificity. Instead of "I feel bad," try "I feel disappointed" or "I feel insecure." Naming emotions reduces their intensity by up to 40%. Trigger mapping. Identify patterns in what triggers strong emotional responses for you. This awareness helps you respond rather than react. Regulation techniques. Develop a toolkit of techniques to manage intense emotions in the moment. This might include deep breathing, grounding exercises, or mental reframing. Empathy development. Practice putting yourself in others' shoes. Research shows that reading literary fiction can increase empathy by improving your ability to understand others' mental states. Boundary setting. Learn to set healthy emotional boundaries. Contrary to popular belief, clear boundaries actually enhance connection by creating safety. I worked with a client who struggled with explosive reactions to minor inconveniences. Her transformation began when she learned to recognize her emotional triggers and respond rather than react. Within 3 months, she reported that her colleagues were seeking her out for advice and support, something that had never happened before. When you can navigate emotional landscapes with grace, you become someone others trust and feel safe around. This quality is incredibly attractive in both personal and professional settings. Secret number 5: authenticity and vulnerability. Perhaps the most attractive quality of all is authenticity. Research from the University of California found that authenticity was rated as more important than physical attractiveness in forming meaningful connections. I spent years trying to be who I thought others wanted me to be. More outgoing at networking events, more serious in professional settings, more agreeable in social circles. The exhaustion of maintaining those facades was draining my energy and my joy. The breakthrough came when I realized that authenticity isn't about sharing everything or being unfiltered. It's about aligning your outer expression with your inner truth in a way that's appropriate for the context. Here's how to cultivate authentic presence. Values alignment. Make choices that align with your core values even when it's uncomfortable. Research shows that values-congruent behavior increases well-being and confidence. Selective vulnerability. Share appropriate personal insights that create connection. Brown University research found that strategic vulnerability increases trust and rapport. Opinion ownership. Practice stating your views with I statements rather than presenting them as universal truths. Preference honesty. Be truthful about your preferences rather than defaulting to what you think others want to hear. This builds trust and self-respect. Authentic no. Learn to decline invitations or requests that don't align with your values or priorities. The way you say no to what doesn't serve you defines what you can say yes to. I remember attending a work function where I finally stopped pretending to enjoy small talk about topics I had no interest in. Instead, I asked questions I was genuinely curious about and shared perspectives I actually believed in. The result? I connected deeply with fewer people, but left feeling energized rather than depleted. Authenticity is magnetic because it's rare. In a world of carefully curated personas, a person who shows up as their real self stands out. The last essential ingredient. So, what's that one essential quality I promised to share? It's self-compassion. Every principle we've discussed today, confidence, presence, curiosity, emotional intelligence, and authenticity, flows from a foundation of genuine self-compassion. Research found that self-compassion is more strongly linked to emotional resilience, relationship satisfaction, and reduced anxiety than self-esteem. While self-esteem is based on positive self-evaluation, self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend. When you truly embrace self-compassion, something remarkable happens. You no longer need external validation because you're already giving yourself the understanding and acceptance you crave. You're not afraid to be seen because you've already accepted who you are, imperfections and all. Here's a simple 3-step practice from Dr. Neff's research that I use daily. Mindfulness. Acknowledge your struggles without judgment. This is a moment of difficulty. Common humanity. Recognize that struggling is part of the shared human experience. I'm not alone in feeling this way. Self-kindness. Offer yourself the compassion you'd give a dear friend. May I be kind to myself in this moment. I remember the day this truly clicked for me. I had made a mistake during an important presentation and was beating myself up afterward. But instead of my usual spiral of self-criticism, I paused and thought, if my best friend had made this mistake, what would I say to her? The compassion that immediately arose changed everything. The most attractive woman in any room isn't trying to be attractive at all. She's simply being herself, treating herself with kindness and extending that same compassion to others through her presence and connection. Remember, you don't become the most attractive woman in the room by dimming anyone else's light. You do it by shining yours so brightly that you inspire others to do the same. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more content that helps you become your most authentic, confident self. Until next time, keep shining your beautiful light.